Heartwarming reunion. Millionaire discovers his college sweetheart, driving a taxi life-changing encounter. Ethan Lawson stepped out of the high-rise hotel and into the buzzing life of his hometown, a place that had shaped his dreams and ambitions. Now, a self-made millionaire at 32, his heart felt heavy with emptiness amid all his success. The familiar streets hummed with energy, yet he felt like a ghost, drifting through memories of a life he once knew so well as he hailed a taxi. His mind replayed scenes of late-night study sessions and laughter days with Mia Collins. She had been his everything, an ambitious student who wanted to change the world. Now, the vibrant glow of nostalgia was about to ignite again. When the cab door swung open, his pulse quickened. There she was, Mia, her eyes shining with a familiar spark that pulled him right back to their college days. "Ethan, is that you?" she asked, disbelief washing over her. Her smile illuminated the cab, and for a moment, all those years of separation melted away. As they drove through the streets lined with memories, the past came rushing back like an old song. The laughter, the dreams, and daylight plans dissolved into nighttime talks about their futures. But Mia's reality was different now. "I've been driving for a while, it's just been tough with my mom's health and my siblings. I work to support us," she said, a wave of sadness crashing into the warmth of their reunion. Somehow, the contrast of her struggles felt like an icy blast against Ethan's well-furnished life, full of luxury yet void of genuine joy. "Let me help you, Mia. I have connections. A job, a good one. I could," but her sharp inhale halted him. "Ethan, I don't want charity," she said, tears brimming in her eyes. The truth struck him. In wanting to uplift her, he had inadvertently turned her into a charity case. The mission to redefine what success meant started to unfold in all its complexity. They were faced with the harsh reality that even the richest man in the room didn't have the answers. "Look, I just want you to succeed, to find your dreams again," he said, voice trembling with sincerity. But Mia's gaze was fierce, the strength of a woman who had weathered storms. As the cab drove on, they discussed the pain of feeling belittled by kindness that obscured respect. "I just want to be valued for who I am, not measured against your wealth," she said, her voice steady and heartfelt. The ride drew to a close, but the weight of their conversation lingered in the air, thick with unresolved feelings. "What kind of man do you want to be?" she asked, leaving Ethan to grapple with the profoundness of her question. As she stepped out, the night felt heavier, like a challenge dropped into his hands. He watched her walk away, her figure retreating into the distance, exuding resilience with every determined stride. The screen of his phone blipped for notifications, but his heart pulsed only for the answer to Mia's question. Would he leap into this challenge, or let it fade with the taxi's taillights? Ethan stood there, the sounds of the city fading into a hum as thoughts crowded his mind. What did it mean to succeed? Money, power, respect? Or was it something deeper? The way Mia had looked at him, so fiercely independent, challenged him to reconsider everything he thought he knew about success and happiness. He wandered the streets, feeling the weight of her questions settle in his chest. He passed familiar shops and cafes, each storefront a reminder of moments shared with Mia, where dreams once felt just a breath away. Now they seemed like fragments of a life lived by someone else. Stopping to peer into a bakery, he spotted the pastries they used to share, their sugary sweetness syncing perfectly with the laughter between them. The nostalgia hit hard. He used to believe if he made enough money, everything would click into place. But as he gazed at the tantalizing treats, the sugary glaze reminded him of Mia's struggles. What would it take to rebuild those dreams together, to lift her up without making her feel small? He knew he had to show her he wasn't just a man with money, but a friend who cared. He pulled out his phone, fingers tapping nervously on the screen. What if I organized a community event? He thought. Something to help local businesses, give back. He could bring back that energy where dreams and passions flourished, where people like Mia could rise to meet their potential without the shackles of unwanted charity. Suddenly, a thought struck him. What if he could reconnect not just with Mia, but the whole college community? He began texting old friends from university, brainstorming ideas. The more he typed, the more excited he became. We used to inspire each other, learn from each other. Maybe we can do that again. But as he worked, shadows of doubt crept in. Would Mia see the event as genuine, or would it feel like another way to use his wealth? He envisioned her face, that fierce determination she wore like armor. He'd have to tread carefully. As night fell, he found himself at the city park, lit by soft glows of streetlights. He sat on a bench, watching families gather, children laugh, and couples stroll hand in hand. It was simple moments like those that created a life fulfilled. In the distance, he spotted a taxi pulling up. His heart raced. Could it be Mia? Of course, he knew she was probably working. Yet, part of him hoped she'd find a way back into his life, not as a reminder of his past but as a partner in shaping the future. He decided he would reach out to her. Not just tonight, but every day after. To show her that success wasn't about money but building connections and pursuing dreams together. He would invite her to help him plan this community event. Feeling a surge of hope, Ethan dialed Mia's number, holding his breath as the phone rang. But what would she say? Would she understand his intentions? The line clicked, and he heard her familiar voice on the other end. Hello? Hey, Mia, he began, excitement and apprehension mingling in his chest. Can we talk? I have an idea, and as he spoke, he hoped that perhaps this was the first step to something new, something both of them could believe in. Ethan could hear the curiosity in Mia's voice, a mix of surprise and caution. Hey Ethan, it's been a while. What's up? His palms were sweaty as he took a deep breath. This was it. I was thinking about organizing a community event. Something to support local businesses and celebrate our college community. I'd love for you to be involved. There was a pause on the line. His heart pounded as he wondered if she was contemplating his request or simply lost in thought. Really? That sounds interesting, Mia finally replied, her tone inviting but measured. But why me? I mean, it feels a bit out of the blue. Ethan felt a wave of disappointment at her hesitance, but he pushed through it. Because I believe in what you do, Mia. I've seen the effect you have on people. You're passionate and driven, and I need that energy on this project. We used to inspire each other, remember? I want to bring that back. He could almost picture her processing his words, that signature frown of hers deepening. I appreciate that, but I'm not sure I can just jump in like that. Things have changed. I've changed me too, he interrupted gently. That's kind of the point. As silence filled the line, something clicked within Ethan. He wasn't just asking for her help. He was offering her a chance to reconnect, to rediscover what they once had, to redefine their dreams together. Let us meet in person, he said, emboldened by a sudden burst of hope. We can brainstorm ideas together like old times. Okay, she relented. When? How about tomorrow? I'll bring coffee from that little cafe we loved. A small smile crossed his lips as he imagined her expression upon hearing the cafe's name. Sure. I'll see you then. They hung up, but Ethan's mind raced with possibilities. The event could be a turning point, an opportunity not only to grow closer to Mia but to forge a bond stronger than before. The next day, the world felt different. The sky was a canvas of soft blues and golden rays, mirroring the excitement bubbling in his chest. He arrived at the cafe early, ordering their favorites, the caramel macchiato she used to love, paired with a blueberry muffin for him. As the door jingled open, he looked up and his breath caught in his throat. Mia stepped inside, sunlight framing her silhouette. She looked as vibrant as ever, but there was a sense of cautious resolve in her stride that made his heart flutter. Hey, she greeted, her smile tentative yet warm. Hey, he replied, motioning to the table outside. Just like old times. Huh? Their conversation flowed easily as they sat down, the coffee's aroma wrapping around them like a familiar hug. They shared laughter over memories, slowly peeling back layers of hurt and distance. Remember when we thought we could take on the world? Mia mused, fingers tracing the mug's edge. Yeah, Ethan replied, his voice softening. I think we still can. But even as he spoke confidently, the fleeting shadows of doubt crept back in. What if we fail? She asked, her vulnerability surfacing. Ethan reached across the table, taking her hand not to possess, but to reassure. Then we'll figure it out together. Life's about trying, right? We won't be alone in this. Mia met his gaze, and for the first time, the flicker of possibility ignited in her eyes. But just as a new spark began to glow, her phone buzzed violently on the table, jolting them both back. It was a text from the hospital. "I'm so sorry, I have to take this," Mia said, her face paling. "Is everything okay?" Ethan asked, concern washing over him. She stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the pavement. "It's my brother, I'll be back as soon as I can." Ethan watched her go, the warmth between them evaporating into a sudden chill. Would she return? Could this be the start, or had he just lost her again? As he sat there, staring into his half-finished coffee, a storm of fear and hope swirled in his chest. Would she see the vision he had for them? And deep down, he wondered, was this community event their chance to bring light back into their lives? Ethan sat alone at the cafe, the warmth of the sun now feeling more like a spotlight shining down on his flickering thoughts. He swirled the remnants of his coffee, lost in the swirling emptiness of his cup. The crisp morning air felt heavy without Mia's laughter filling it. The moment she had left, the atmosphere shifted so much unsaid, so much unfinished. He glanced at his phone, hoping for a message, a sign that she was on her way back. But the screen remained blank, and a wave of uncertainty crashed over him. Would they move forward, or had he just rekindled a connection only to see it dim again? He wanted to believe in the spark that had once defined them, but real life was less romantic. As minutes ticked by, he tried to shake it off, sipping the coffee that was now too cold. The chatter around him faded to a dull roar. How could he help launch their community event without Mia? He recalled the passion in her eyes as they discussed possibilities. He needed that energy. Suddenly, he thought of her brother. The hospital text had clearly shaken her. Ethan had never met him but had heard enough stories to know how important he was to Mia. Her family came first. He had always respected that. But could it also mean that she might not come back, at least not today? Fighting back a wave of disappointment, he pulled out his notebook scattered with sketches for the event. He began jotting down ideas, trying to capture anything that might keep Mia interested when she returned. As he filled the pages, he couldn't help but structure that original vision of hope around her. The community event needed Mia to breathe life into it. Before he knew it, the soft sound of the cafe door chime broke him from his thoughts. He looked up, his heart racing as he scanned the entrance. It wasn't her, but a group of students streaming in, laughing, carrying the carefree spirit he once shared with Mia. They settled near him, their conversation loud and vibrant. Ethan caught snippets of their chatter plans, dreams, and everything that resonated with his own aspirations. He leaned closer, suddenly feeling the restless urge to connect, to share his vision, to challenge himself. Maybe this was a sign. Maybe he could tap into the community's energy and involve more people in the project, should Mia not return. And then, as though struck by lightning, an idea sparked within him. What if he invited more people to collaborate? They could form a team with roles inspired by each person's strengths. Maybe he wouldn't have to shoulder the weight alone or depend entirely on Mia. Before he could dwell on it further, his phone rang. Mia's name appeared as a beacon of light piercing through the fog of uncertainty. He answered immediately. "Mia, Ethan, I'm so sorry," she rushed, her voice filled with urgency and relief. "My brother's okay, he just had a minor procedure." "Thank God," Ethan breathed, relief washing over him. "Listen, I'll be there soon. I don't want to leave you hanging," she continued, her voice resolving into something firmer. "I've been thinking I want to help. Let's make this event happen." His heart soared at her words. "Really? I mean, that's amazing. I have some ideas we can build on and I can't wait to hear them," she interrupted. "But can we add a little twist this time? I want to bring more people into it. A real team." Yes, that sounds fantastic." He felt the enthusiasm swell like a wave, washing over everything that had weighed him down just moments earlier. "Great. I'll be there in a few minutes." "And Ethan, thank you for reaching out," she said softly. As they ended the call, he couldn't ignore the flutter of hope igniting again. Maybe it was possible to reach out not just to Mia, but to the entire community. Together, they could make something great. They could break the walls of their past and rebuild something beautiful. Just as he gathered the courage to put his plan into motion, the cafe door swung open again. A shadow fell over him, and he looked up, ready with a smile, but it wasn't Mia. Instead, it was someone he hadn't expected to see. Yet their presence brought a swell of memories rushing back. "Ethan, right?" the stranger asked, a familiar charm in their eyes. "It's been a long time. Could this encounter change everything again?" Ethan's smile faltered for a fraction of a second as he stared into the eyes of the stranger standing before him. It was Claire, his college roommate, and the girl who had once been his closest confidant. Time seemed to recede, pulling him back to those late nights of laughter and shared dreams. "Claire, I didn't expect to see you here," he said, jumping to his feet. For a brief moment, there was warmth between them, an electric recognition that reminded him of old times. "Yeah, it's been, 5 years? Claire laughed, the sound like a breeze on a hot day. "Life has a funny way of shifting, doesn't it?" She gestured to the frayed backpack slung over her shoulder, a stark contrast to the polished world they had once inhabited together. Ethan could sense her hesitance, the weight of unseen burdens pressing down on her. "What have you been up to?" he asked, genuinely curious, hoping to bridge the gap that time had carved between them. She sighed, a flicker of vulnerability in her eyes. "Oh, the usual. Working 2 jobs, trying to figure things out," she said, forcing a smile. "I'm actually driving a taxi now. Pays the bills, but it's been interesting. Enough to keep me on my toes." "Wow, that's quite a leap," he replied, his heart aching at the thought of her struggles. From the girl with ambitions to change the world, to this. "I'm sorry it's been tough. I always remembered you as someone destined for great things." Her laughter was soft, holding a hint of bitterness. "You know how life goes. But hearing that means a lot to me. And you? I saw the flyers for the community project you're organizing. Is that true?" Ethan grinned, the sudden excitement pushing other thoughts aside. "Yes. I'm working on this event to bring people together. We're hoping to create a sense of community, spark some connections. It's a little crazy, but I think we can make it work." "That sounds incredible." Claire's enthusiasm welled up, her eyes lighting as she spoke. "I always knew you'd do something impactful. The Ethan I remember always wanted to uplift others." Just as he felt the conversation shift to something profound, his phone buzzed again, breaking the moment. He caught a glimpse of Mia's name. Deep inside, he felt a mix of anxiety and thrill. Would she be angry if he got caught up here? Anxiety twisted in knots within his stomach. "Sorry, it's Mia," he said reluctantly, glancing at Claire, who watched him closely with a knowing smile. "Go ahead, it's fine. I can wait. But I do have a few ideas for that event," she said, her confidence shining through, easing his tension. Ethan nodded and answered the call, trying to keep the nervousness from spilling out of him. "Hey, I'm still at the cafe. Claire just showed up." "Oh, Claire, your college friend?" Mia interrupted. There was a noticeable tinge of curiosity in her voice. "Yeah, we're just catching up a bit," he replied, taking a deep breath. "I wanted to tell you she's really interested in working with us on the event." "Ethan, that sounds amazing, but do you think we should be focusing on who we know best? I don't want to stretch ourselves too thin with unfamiliar connections." He hesitated, feeling torn. Mia had signed on to help him, but Claire's presence stirred something he couldn't ignore. He glanced at her, mischief dancing in her eyes. "Mia, Claire understands this community. We should embrace that. It's about bringing everyone together, right?" he urged. "I'll think about it," Mia said softly. "I trust your judgment. Just make sure you're careful, okay?" He ended the call, heart racing. The thrill of possibility mixed with the tension of his situation left him feeling torn. "So, how about we brainstorm some ideas?" he said, eager to redirect the conversation back to Claire. "Absolutely." Her smile was bright, and he couldn't help but feel a burgeoning connection with her again. But as they started discussing plans, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that he was standing at a crossroads. "Mia, Claire, what might this mean for his future?" Would too many changes unravel the delicate threads he was finally managing to weave together? Just then, the cafe door opened once again. The sunlight spilled in, momentarily blinding him. He squinted, catching a glimpse of a figure he hadn't seen in years. The sudden shock rooted him to the ground. "Ethan," the familiar voice called out. "It's time to face some old ghosts." Was this a reunion, or the beginning of a greater chaos? Ethan's heart raced as he turned fully toward the door, his breath caught in his throat. Standing there, looking as surprised as he felt, was Jenna, his first crush, his sweet, vibrant Jenna from campus. "Jenna, is that really you?" he stammered. She smiled, but it was tinged with confusion and something deeper, something he couldn't quite place. "Ethan, wow, it's been how long has it been? Like 6 years? Wow, it's really good to see you. You look amazing." He meant it. She hadn't changed much, but there was an air of maturity about her, a radiance that hinted at experiences he could only guess at. "Thanks. I could say the same for you," Jenna replied, brushing her hair behind her ear. A nervous gesture that brought back memories of late-night conversations and laughter under the stars. "What are you doing here?" He felt Claire's presence beside him, her eyes darting between them, reading the tension in the air. "I'm back in town visiting family," Jenna said, glancing at Ethan's smiling face, then at Claire. "And you still doing that community project?" Ethan nodded, eager to share his passion. "Yeah, it's coming together. Actually, Claire's joined the team. We were just brainstorming some ideas." He felt a weird tug of loyalty, knowing that Claire had just reappeared, and now Jenna was back too. Who did he owe his loyalty to? "Oh, how great to see you again, Claire," Jenna said with warmth, but Ethan sensed her interest lay more with him than with their old friend. As they chatted, Ethan found himself struggling to maintain his focus. The excitement of reconnecting with Jenna, the shared history they had, swept away his attention. Amidst their laughter, his phone buzzed yet again. Mia's name lit up the screen. A sharp jolt of anxiety shot through him at the thought of her waiting on him. He quickly silenced the call and turned back to Jenna. "So, when did you come back?" "Just this morning," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. "I was actually hoping to catch up with people. Reminisce about the good old days." Ethan noticed Claire's gaze linger. Jenna's casual enthusiasm ignited a wave of nostalgia that he couldn't shake. "Want to grab some coffee?" "Huh?" he suggested, enjoying the notion of revisiting old times. "Yeah, I love that." But Jenna glanced at Claire. "Is that okay with you?" Claire hesitated, biting her lip. "Of course. I wouldn't want to interrupt anything. You two probably have a lot to talk about." No, stay," Ethan blurted. "I want us all to catch up together." The three settled back into a booth, awkward at first, glancing around at the cafe's charm, muffled voices, the clinking of cups, and the aroma of brewing coffee. As the conversation flowed, Ethan caught moments of camaraderie surfacing between Claire and Jenna. It soothed the tension, easing the fears he hadn't fully acknowledged. He loved being back in the mix. Their energy sparked a renewed sense of connection and comfort he didn't realize he had missed. But the longer they talked, the more Ethan sensed an unspoken competition between them for his attention. At one point, Jenna shared a funny story from college that had him laughing. Yet when he turned to Claire, he found her staring at her coffee, lost in thought. "Claire, are you okay?" he asked gently. She startled out of her trance, forcing a smile. "Yeah, I'm good." Just her voice trailed off, and the moment felt heavy. Just then, Jenna interjected. "So, Ethan, are you seeing anyone now? Last I heard, you were still single." The question pierced the atmosphere, and Ethan felt Claire tense beside him. Well, he started to reply, aware of the shifting winds surrounding him, of what lay ahead. Before he could finish, his phone rang again, and this time it was Mia. "Ethan, please answer. I need to talk to you now." Caught in this whirlwind of old friendships and present relationships, he felt an urgency pulse within him. Yet he hesitated, torn between the past and a future that seemed to unravel with every new connection. How would he navigate this reunion? Was it the ghosts of his past coming back to haunt him, Or were they merely opportunities waiting to blossom? "Excuse me, I need to take this," he finally said, heart pounding as he stepped away from the table. As he answered, he couldn't help but wonder. Would the answers he sought bring clarity, or would they only deepen the chaos? Ethan stepped outside the cafe to take the call. The crisp air hit him like a bucket of ice, a stark contrast to the warm cafe filled with laughter and whispers of nostalgia. The phone buzzed insistently against his ear, Mia's voice breaking through the haze of his thoughts. "Ethan, where are you?" she demanded, urgency thick in her tone. "I need to talk. It's important." He closed his eyes for a brief moment, fighting the rising tension in his chest. "I'm out with a couple of friends," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "What's going on? Mia, is everything all right?" He could hear the crack in her voice. It twisted something inside him. "No, it's not all right." She took a deep breath, but he could sense a whirlwind of emotions brewing on the other end. "There's something you don't know about Jason. I think it's time we talked about it." Jason. The name hung there, uncomfortably heavy between them. Mia's ex, Ethan's former roommate, and someone he had assumed was long out of his life. A chill crawled through him as anxiety tightened its grip. "What about Jason?" he asked carefully, wanting to keep the sparks of panic at bay. "I can't say it over the phone. Can you just please come back to the apartment?" she pleaded. "I need you here." Ethan felt a knot form in his stomach. The carefree moment with Jenna and Claire instantly dimmed, fading under the weight of urgent reality. While his heart raced with the thought of Mia, the image of Jenna's smile lingered in his mind, almost taunting him. "I'll be right there," he promised, hanging up abruptly. He turned back toward the cafe, his mind racing as he caught a glimpse of Claire and Jenna through the large window. They were both laughing, Jenna animated in her storytelling while Claire leaned back, almost defensive, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. The atmosphere felt divided, and he identified a line forming that he didn't realize existed until now. Ethan re-entered the cafe, forcing a smile as he approached the table. He caught Jenna's eyes, and his spirits lifted slightly at the familiarity. But it quickly faded when he saw Claire's guarded expression. "Hey," he said, stuffing his hands deep in his pockets to mask his unease. "Sorry, that was Mia. I need to go. Something came up. Is everything okay?" Claire asked, concern flickering across her face. "Not really," he admitted. The truth swirled within him like an uninvited guest. "But I'll be fine. I just need to attend to it. Do you want us to come with you?" Jenna offered, her tone generous. But he read the hint of possessiveness threaded in her response. "No," he said quickly, the word hollow. "I'll handle it. But I promise I'll catch up with you both later?" Claire nodded but couldn't conceal the disappointment etched on her features. Jenna nodded too, albeit reluctantly. As he stepped outside, the world felt heavier. The moment he needed clarity the most, his path only seemed to narrow. His phone buzzed with messages from Mia, each vibration echoing in his mind like a thunderclap. What weight did Jason carry in his past? And once revealed, how would it alter his future with Mia, Jenna, and Claire? With every step, anxiety gripped his heart tighter. Would the answers he sought bring him peace or plunge him deeper into uncharted waters? As he reached his apartment, the door looming like a profound question, Ethan took a breath. What awaited him inside would determine not just the course of his day, but the whole of his future. And just what secrets from the past lurked there, waiting to be unveiled? He paused at the door for a moment, his hand trembling slightly on the knob. The silence around him felt suffocating, as if the walls of the building were closing in. With a deep breath, Ethan turned the handle and stepped inside, the familiar scent of old wood and dust greeting him. It was a stark reminder of all the memories that lingered here, some good, but others dark and tangled. "Mia?" he called out, the sound echoing in the empty space. He heard shuffling from the living room and felt dread coil in his stomach. As he approached, he became acutely aware of every creak of the floorboards beneath his feet. In his mind, he replayed the many times they sat in this very room, laughing or arguing, but those memories felt like a lifetime ago. "There you are," Mia said, looking up from the sofa. Her eyes were red-rimmed, worry etched into her features. "I'm so glad you made it. Is it about Jason?" he asked, his heart beating faster. "Yeah." Her voice trembled, and she took a deep breath. "I didn't want to bring this up over the phone, but he's back in town. And I think he's looking for something more than just a simple hello." "More? What do you mean more?" Ethan felt a rush of confusion mixed with a strange sense of betrayal. He took a step closer, trying to read her expression. He wants to see me, to explain things. But whatever it is, I think it's important you know how it affects you." The room felt colder. Ethan's mind flashed back to their last night together before Jason had left for good. The way they had shouted over the broken promises. The nights that had followed filled with silence. "Why now, Mia? Why after all this time?" "He told me he's changed. That he's not the same person anymore, and I believe him." She looked down at her hands, and Ethan could see the struggle reflected in her eyes. "But I know this might stir things up for us. I don't know if I can deal with that right now," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Every part of him wanted to turn around and walk away, but he found himself anchored to the spot. The uneasy familiarity of their past pressed hard against him, creating a tidal wave of emotions that threatened to drag him under. Mia glanced up, her expression suddenly fierce. "You need to know that whatever happens with Jason doesn't change how I feel about you, Ethan. He just has a way of resurfacing when I least expect it." "What do you mean? Are you saying there's still something between you two?" "No, absolutely not. I didn't ask for this. But I can't pretend that it won't affect my feelings and the decisions I need to make. If you're going to be a part of this, you deserve to hear it all." Ethan felt a swell of protectiveness rise within him. "You deserve to make the right choice without my influence," he replied, trying to maintain a facade of control, though his heart raced at the thought of what it meant for them. "We need to figure this out together. I can't do it alone." Her voice softened, reaching out to him, and he couldn't help but see the vulnerability in her eyes. "Then let us talk about it," he said, the weight of the moment crashing down on them. As they began to flesh out the implications of Jason's return, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that each revelation might steer them toward a crossroads, one where pain and joy stood side by side. As the conversation deepened, the door swung open behind them and an unexpected figure stepped in. It was Jenna, her eyes wide with surprise. "What's going on here?" she asked, her voice breaking the tension like glass shattering. Ethan turned, caught off guard. What fresh chaos would this bring? Would he be able to keep his past and present from colliding? Or was he standing on the brink of losing it all? Jenna stood in the doorway, a storm of emotions swirling behind her honey-colored eyes. Her presence felt like a lightning bolt striking through the room, jolting Ethan back to reality. He took a breath, trying to steady his racing heart. "What's going on?" she pressed, her gaze darting between Ethan and Mia, clearly seeking answers. Mia quickly stood up, brushing invisible dust from her jeans, her expression shifting to one of defense. "It's nothing, really. Just a personal conversation." Ethan glanced at Mia. There was a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes that made his stomach churn. He didn't want Jenna to overhear their already vulnerable discussion. Yet, the situation was rapidly spiraling beyond his control. "Actually, Jenna, we were just discussing. I had no idea the two of you were here together," Jenna interrupted, a practiced lightness in her tone, but the tension radiating from her gave her away. "I thought this was a private reunion. Why no, just you two catching up on old times." Her smile was tight, strained, and he could see she was seeking reassurance. Mia cleared her throat. She admitted, her voice softening. "But we're also trying to navigate some moments from the past." Understanding dawned in Jenna's eyes, but all it did was add to the already charged atmosphere. "Look, I don't want to intrude," she said, stepping back slightly but still watching them intently. "But if there's anything you need to talk about, I'm here. I mean, we're all friends, right?" "Yeah, friends," Ethan echoed, his voice laced with uncertainty. This was all too much too soon, and he felt the weight of conflicting loyalties pressing down on him. "We just need to sort this out first." Mia's gaze met his, and for a moment, it felt like they were in their own bubble, isolated against the world around them. He could see the unspoken words reflected in those deep brown eyes. "I don't want to lose you," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Ethan's heart fluttered painfully, and a knot tightened in his throat. This moment felt pivotal, like a decision hung in the air, ready to tip one way or the other. "You won, T. Just I want to understand what Jason wants." "Hey," Jenna interjected, snapping him back to the moment. "I'm still right here, you know." I know, Ethan said, trying to diffuse the rising tension. "I appreciate you checking in." "Really?" She nodded but didn't back down. "I just don't want either of you to feel stuck. Choices are hard, especially when feelings are involved. But you shouldn't avoid them." "If only it were that easy," Ethan replied, his voice dripping with frustration. "This isn't just about us, Jenna. It's about a history that we didn't choose. So tell her," Jenna urged gently, her expression softening as if she were trying to bridge the divide. Mia turned to him with a timid smile. "Maybe it's time we all just say how we feel. I think honesty will help, even if it's painful." Ethan hesitated, overwhelmed by the urge to protect both women from the truth and the weight of his own heart. The room felt dense with unspoken words. "Okay," he finally breathed out. "Okay, we'll try to lay it all out there." Just then, his phone buzzed loudly from his pocket, shattering the fragile moment. He pulled it out and saw Jason's name flashing across the screen. It was a text. A simple, cold message asking to meet. "What's wrong?" Mia asked, her eyes widening as he hesitated, every heartbeat slamming against his ribs. Ethan couldn't find the words. The urgency of Jason's message clawed at him. This felt like the tipping point, a crossroads that would define them all. A decision loomed heavy over his head as Jenna's gaze dropped to the floor and Mia stepped closer. He could feel the looming shadow of the past wrapping around them once more. Would he answer? Would he dare step back into that whirlwind? "Stay," Mia whispered, urging him back to reality. "Whatever happens next, let us face it together." But how could he promise that when he didn't know where he would end up? Ethan's heart thundered in his chest as he stood between the two women he had once cared for so deeply. The air in the room felt thick, charged with a tension that had been building for years. He could feel the weight of their expectant gazes, the weight of their histories pressing down upon him. 3 lives, intertwined yet separate, each holding their own burdens, their own heartaches. For a moment, he was paralyzed by the uncertainty of it all. Jenna, the girl who made his heart race during late-night study sessions. Mia, the one who understood his soul. Both women represented parts of his past he had not fully resolved, and he realized that facing Jason might threaten the fragile balance he had begun to forge with each of them. Taking a deep breath, Ethan shook his head, trying to dispel the fog of doubt. No more hiding. He looked directly at Mia, who nodded firmly, her resolve shining through the apprehensive crease in her brow. "You're right, we've got to be honest." He turned to Jenna, who watched him, her eyes searching for clarity. "This is complicated. So much has happened that we haven't talked about." "Then let us talk," Jenna urged, a softness in her demeanor. "We're here now." With a trembling voice, Ethan began to unravel the threads of his heart. "After Jason left, I felt lost. I was proud of my accomplishments, but the more success I found, the more isolated I became. I didn't know how to reach out, to share that hurt, and I didn't want the two of you to carry it," he admitted, glancing at both women. Mia exhaled softly, her gaze unwavering. "Ethan, I've always respected that about you. I felt the weight of my own struggles and thought I had to hide them to protect you. But we're all trying to find our way, and we need support together. And that's what the event is about," he said, a flicker of hope igniting in his chest. "Building our community, breaking these barriers. We can't hide from each other anymore." Claire, observing closely, finally spoke up. "You're right, Ethan. We all have stories that can intertwine into something meaningful. Our struggles can connect us. Us bringing our experiences together could heal us and so many others." The atmosphere lightened slightly, tension lifting just a fraction. "I've been running from my past too," Jenna admitted quietly, glancing down. "The truth is, I always felt like I was left behind. Watching you all move on while I was still trying to figure things out was hard. But you're here now, Ethan said gently, his eyes on her. Let us figure it out together. We can be stronger as a team. Mia nodded, taking a step closer to Ethan, an undeniable warmth blooming between them. We need to be open about what's going on, including Jason. Let us confront this together, not let it pull us apart. Ethan felt a weight lift, a sense of unity forming. Their silence didn't feel as heavy anymore. It felt like a promise one to face whatever might come together. They huddled closer, speaking of needs, dreams, and fears in a vulnerable sharing of their souls. Just then, his phone vibrated again, cutting through their intimate moment. Ethan glanced at the screen, Jake's name flashing with another incoming message. This time he felt fortified. Let us meet him, he said, a new determination swelling in his chest. What? Jenna exclaimed, eyes wide with alarm. We have to face the past. I can't let it hang over us like a storm cloud. Let us make our boundaries clear. If he has changed, then let us see it. If he hasn't, we'll support each other through it. Mia nodded, her expression resolute. I want to take control of my own narrative. And we'll do this together, right? Right? Ethan and Jenna echoed, their voices firm as they made their plans. The camaraderie between them began to feel electric, as if they had taken a step from the shadows into sunlight. The patchwork of their histories was painful but also vibrant with potential and opportunity for healing and growth they had long left untouched. And in that moment, Ethan understood that success wasn't merely a matter of wealth. It was building connections, facing truths, and being surrounded by people who would walk with him through the uncertainties. Later that evening, as they gathered their resolve to meet Jason, Ethan felt the electric buzz of hope. The three of them would step forward together, not as isolated figures haunted by the past, but as a united front ready to redefine their futures together. Suddenly, the sensation of warmth in his heart took over. They could make this work. They could build something new, destined to grow and inspire. Now it was time for the world to watch. You need to subscribe now to catch all of our transformative stories. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this journey. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and remember to comment your thoughts and feelings about this powerful ending.